region. But how much do you know about this valuable yet finite resource? On our radio program, Guyana's Oil and You, we strike at the heart of every issue with informed views and credible data. The time is now for you to arm yourself with insightful knowledge on your oil wealth.
Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio. This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good evening. Welcome to this evening's newscast on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. I'm Kevin Smith with your news in capsule. Let's get to the news in detail. If the world continues to act decisively to limit global warming to 2 degrees Celsius by 2050, then oil prices as well as demand will take a hard hit before the end of this decade. So said Wood Mackenzie, one of the industry's leading consultancy groups. In its latest contribution to the international discussion on the need for cleaner energy sources, Wood Mackenzie said it has always been known that oil and gas is a risky business. As time progressed, those risks have been tempered by a single tenet, that demand for fossil fuel would continue to rise indefinitely. But that belief, Wood Mackenzie articulated, all but evaporated with the unexpected emergence of the COVID-19. And with the renewed efforts to transition to cleaner sources of energy, the future does not look promising for the upstream sector, said the consultancy group. Following its latest assessment of the implications in various demand and supply scenarios, Wood Mackenzie said the transition leaves $14 trillion in oil and gas asset investments hanging in the balance. And the knowledge tell you Australian-owned Troy Resources Inc. says that as the company faces temporary closure later in the year as a result of the depleted ore being obtained from its primary mining pits, it is currently exploring purchasing the feedstock for its mill from third-party miners. The company stated that in the interim, Troy is exploring the availability of third-party ore for toll treating and other opportunities, and said there is nothing further that can be reported at this stage. It reported that gold production for the month of April was 2,140 ounces, while the production forecast for the months of May and June are 2,400 and 1,909 ounces. The company said that its production rate is on track to realize at the end of June 2021 an average 2,200 ounces per month for the year. And now let's tell you current chairman of the Public Service Commission, that should be the Police Service Commission, and retired Assistant Commissioner of Police Paul Slow, along with several other retired high-ranking officers of the Guyana Police Force and members of the force were today slapped with a joint conspiracy to defraud charge. One of the defendants was also slapped with an individual misconduct in public office charge. Those charged are retired officers Assistant Commissioner Clinton Conway, Assistant Commissioner Claude Whitaker, Senior Superintendent George Fraser, Senior Superintendent Michael Sutton, and Superintendent Mark Gilbert. Other serving members of the force charged are former Police Finance Officer Senior Superintendent Marceline Washington, Serving Assistant Commissioner Royston Andres Dooner, and Police Finance Officer Assistant Superintendent Marlon Kelman. The joint charge alleges that Slow, Conway, Whitaker, Fraser, Gilbert, Andrews Jr., Washington, Sutton, and Kelman between March 1st, 2019 and July 7, 2020 at the police headquarters conspired together and others to defraud the Guyana Police Force of $10,056,000. And moving on, with Guyana once again taking up its place in CARICOM as the lead on agriculture, the PPPC government has been aggressively promoting and supporting investment and development of the agriculture sector. In addition to rice and sugar production, focus is now being placed on the cultivation of non-traditional and high-earning commodities. One such industry is the coconut industry. Since taking office, government, through the Ministry of Agriculture, has moved to develop the sector by ensuring proper planting materials are easily accessible to farmers across the country. Last year, as part of the Hope Coconut Industries Limited's emergency budgetary allocation, 2 new coconut nurseries were established, one at Kaieteur on the Linden-Soosdijk Highway and the other in Charity. Furthermore, the ministry has announced plans to establish 6 additional nurseries across the country during this year. And now let's tell you, Guyana earns royalty from its largest gold mine based on the price that the Chinese mining company, Jijin Mining Group, gets for the sale of its gold from the buyer selected by the company and not at the prevailing world market price. This, in addition to there being a sliding scale for the payments to be made, 5% royalty when gold is sold for $1,000 or below, or 8% when sold at 1 cent above that price. According to the contract, revenues shall be calculated based on actual price realized in relation to the transaction utilized and not the basis of world market price for those minerals. And moving on, President of the Guyana Oil and Gas Energy Chamber, Mr. Maniram Prasad, is calling for industry stakeholders to boycott the upcoming GPEX, which will be hosted for the 3rd year from June 28th to 30th. In a release to the media, Prasad said the organization of the event leaves local companies that are asked to participate with little to no benefit. Meanwhile, the lion's share of the profit are taken overseas by Valiant Business Media. Since its inception, VBM has been the main organizer of the event. And to wrap things up this evening, let's tell you former EPA Director Dr. Vincent Adams is of the view that oil major ExxonMobil cannot survive without its operations in Guyana. Dr. Adams expressed that it angers him to see how they think that they can take us for fools. With this in mind, Dr. Adams suggests Guyana uses its strategic position in relation to ExxonMobil and uses that as leverage rather than having them take advantage of us. He gave these assertions during an online discussion on Saturday last that centered around Guyana's emerging oil and gas sector and concomitant ripple effects in the country, and lamented the way the U.S. oil major has been conducting business in Guyana by passing laws with the seeming consent of the Guyanese government. And with that, we've come to the end of this evening's newscast. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
It is now 19 hours 8 in Guyana. Coming up next, a short presentation on the oil and gas sector from the publisher of the Kaieteur News, Mr. Glenn Lal, followed by the National Outlook with G.H.K. Lal.
Guyana, let me ask you a simple question. Would you buy 1,000 chicken per day on a contract when you can only use 10 chicken per day? Who does that? Only a moron does that. There's no way you're going to buy 1,000 chicken when you and your family can only eat 10. You can't even give away to neighbors and friends because you can't use 1,000 chicken. So it means you got to dump the chicken. So nobody will sign a contract, a long-term contract to that effect. Well, this is what international institutions in the oil industry have been warning Guyana against. Just recently we carried a story on Ghana, in which Ghana is trapped because Ghana signed a long-term contract with the oil companies to supply them gas. They're using 10% of the gas and throw away 90% because nobody wants to buy it. There's no market for it. So, but they have to continue paying the oil companies them that is supplying these natural gas to the country. They are losing $500 million yearly, American dollars. Isn't this a sounding bell for Guyana? To tell our nation to be careful how they are signing our oil deals and oil contracts? Yes, it sure will be. Join me on the Glenn Lal Show every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 7:20, and there are lots more for me to tell you. Thank you.
GHK Lal on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM.